we need radical tax reduction. They want more money in the economy. Well, if we didn't have an income tax and did away with the spending, we'd all be a lot richer. And all of a sudden, I think we would thrive in a short period of time. I would permit the liquidation of debt to continue.
All right, Congressman, we have the AP reporting that financial bailout agreement has been reached. Basically, they're going along with almost all of what Paulson called for in his new financial imperium, or failing forward. Getting back to prosecution, I mean, if you're saying go after the Fed governors, are you talking about Alan Greenspan, the former chairman? Are you talking about Helicopter Ben? Who are you talking about?
All of them, but, in a way that's symbolic gesture because they are people who have been put in office, through the system, and the president, I don't think would get anywhere on there. But morally speaking, they're the culprits. And, in 1792, when we had our first Coinage Act, they said anybody that counterfeited money deserved the death penalty. That's what they thought because they hated inflation. And here we are, we endorse inflation, legalize it, and put, how long was Alan Greenspan considered the maestro? The nobody would say boo to him. And here he set up the whole stage of this whole problem that we have.
And really, he's just a little man behind the curtain running the scam. We only had about 4 minutes left with you, Congressman. I wanted to get into the Army Times last week announcing regular combat brigades to be rotated in for crowd control with microwave guns, non-lethal weapons. We see the federal expansion, preparing for social breakdown. So you and many others, and 70% of the American people in major polls are against the bailout. But instead, the establishment in Congress and both parties are saying we don't care, and we're going to go ahead and go with this handover to the private banksters after they've committed all these crimes. Are you concerned about civil unrest if a depression comes or if this deepens? And how do we counter that when they start activating regular Army groups in the United States?
Well, it's going to be tough because that's the movement, and they tell you what their attitude is with that provision in the Paulson's bill. Which says we're exempt from the courts. We don't even want the courts to look at this. They may modify that language, but you know what their attitude is, and they want to be lawless. They don't want to be held accountable, and that's why it is extremely dangerous. I talk about the economic dangers, and we all should be concerned because we want a high standard of living, but ultimately the only thing that counts is our freedom. We could be very, very poor. We could wipe out a lot of wealth in this country, but if we had our freedoms in the market and sound money, we would all go back to work quickly. We would help our neighbors and our friends, and we would be wealthy in a short period of time. So that's why what you're talking about, are we going to have martial law, or are we going to have more freedoms? And the more problems that we have, the more likely it is that we're going to have martial law. So I do think they anticipate and make plans for these things.
In closing, Congressman, you have, to tell the fact that government is always co-opted by private corporations and corrupt systems, and no matter how much good you try to put into it, it always turns out becoming corrupted. But at the same time, people losing their homes, companies falling apart, the real economy being raided by Wall Street right now with the previous bailout money, banning the shorting only on themselves, but then turning the dogs loose on the real economy. I know you're against the bailout of the bankers. Is it a lesser evil to have some type of bailout of the infrastructure itself because we're like an emaciated person that's been thrown up on the shore? Or what do you say to that?
And what do you mean by infrastructure? Are you talking about material infrastructure, roads, highways, and things?
Well, all of it, and then people losing their houses. I mean, if we're going to have a bailout, shouldn't it be of the American people? I know that's bad too, but isn't that better?
On principle, I wouldn't endorse that, but I also always have a program of transition. If money is to be spent, we have to pay for it. Just recently, we had a disaster relief program, and I voted against it, and I did because we don't have the money. But I'm not against doing some of that, but I'm against building the deficit to do it. I would cut, if we need $10 billion for survival reasons here or infrastructure, I would cut $20 billion overseas, put 10 against the deficit, and use 10 here at home. And that's not perfect, but it's so much better than continue to spend money and expand our programs overseas and getting ourselves into so much trouble.
So the lesser of two evils. Well, I certainly agree with you there. this is the final question, Congressman. They're saying that they're going to go ahead and go with the bailout. Do you think that's going to fall apart, or do you think the scaremongering by both parties' leaders of imminent depression is going to get this rammed through? And then down the road, how bad do you think this will accelerate the hyperinflation?
Well, it's going to be inflationary, but it might calm the markets for a little while, but it will not solve the problem. It just delays the inevitable. But yesterday I would have said, boy, there's no way they can get these votes. Today, arm twisting and giving everybody benefits and boosting this package up and passing out more funds, it looks like they're going to defy the American people. And it tells you how close the two parties are, because you see all of a sudden you don't see McCain and Obama fighting over this. They both endorse these bailout principles.
And you see Clinton endorsing basically McCain. I mean, it's a love fest.
So that tells you that they are in charge, and that we've complained a lot about the political system and why anybody who truly objects to the establishment can't get very far in today's establishment.
Is that why you're endorsing Chuck Baldwin over the Republican candidate?
Yeah, I mean, I reject the two-party system, the two candidates. So, yes, I did pick Chuck over.
Congressman, I think this could end up destroying the New World Order globalist system. I think they've overreached, and this is badly coordinated, and I think this is finally going to destroy the people's confidence in this giant, mega state. Do you agree with that?
I think that's a possibility, because I think they get to the point where they think they're like God and they can control everything. They don't realize the market really is more powerful than all the bankers and all the politicians. The markets rule. It just takes time, and it's sorting out who's going to be the victims and all. They think they have control, but ultimately, it's the underground economy that is the real economy. So I think they could overstep themselves, and hopefully we can come out with a better world afterwards.
Well, we're really blessed to have you up there watching the banking crime syndicate there on the House Banking Committee, Congressman, and we just want to thank you. Please plug some of the websites and the book or any other information or any congressional websites that people might want to check into.
Okay, if you go to ronpaul.org, you can go to all my websites, but the most significant right now is Campaign for Liberty. But either one will find me. I'm found very easily on the Internet.
Sir, thank you for your time. Take care.
Okay, thank you very much.
You bet. There goes Congressman Ron Paul spending 20 minutes with us today. We appreciate him taking the time out to do that in his busy schedule. I know we have loaded phone lines here. When you hear a caller hang up, means you can get involved on air. 1-800-259-9231. I'm going to go to your calls, but I'm going to go to them in rapid succession. For me, that means extremely slow. But on this call list, John, who is up next?
Matt in the UK.
Matt in the good old UK. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, sir, and I hope you're feeling a lot better, by the way. I was about to say I've enjoyed the topic today. Yeah, I just want to mention very quickly, I know you got a lot of calls and to your show. It's basically, I watched the Bush thing yesterday in the UK, and I just want to mention that basically where I live in the UK, there's a lot of houses been repossessed, and what the councils are doing is obviously the ones that have been repossessed, they're going to privatise and rent them out. It's very, very scary times in the UK.
Explain that again. They're going to privatise them. Who is going to privatise them?
The local councils, or the councils in the UK, all the houses, like where I live in the UK, has got the highest repossession rate in the UK. And what they're going to do is all the houses that have been repossessed, the council is going to buy them off the government and obviously rent them out. So obviously the government.
I saw some plans of that. So you have government engaging in predatory activity at every level. And, of course, the United States has said it's going to, quote, bail out the British banks. They're talking about 200 billion pounds, or that's 400 million plus dollars, just in the UK with your 70 million or 80 million people over there. I mean, think about the magnitude of this. And so the people pay for the bailout, and then they get their houses taken, and then government takes your tax money locally and buys the houses again. So really the banks are being paid. That's just like in the U.S. they're saying top dollar will be paid for the junk securities and the derivatives and then the good homes and the bad homes, all of it, by the taxpayer. Top dollar, and then we get to have our houses taken. I mean, it's just crime on crime on crime, and just a mindless public, just no idea what's even going on. They're just absolutely like people have had their ears gouged out, their eyes gouged out, their tongues cut out, beaten in the head with hammers, just drooling on the side of the road, just worshiping black ski masks, worshiping cameras, worshiping FEMA camps. I mean, I feel sorry for people.
I mean, the people in the UK are blinded by this because, like, the mortgage interest rate has gone up by 8, 9, even 10% in the UK, and people just can't afford it. I mean, like, I don't know what it's like in the US for, like, we have like a minimum wage. It's like 552 UK pounds. I don't know what that is in US dollars, but people just can't live on this minimum wage. And then we hear our PM saying that they've created 3 million new jobs. 3 million new jobs where? The people.
Amazing. Matt, got to jump. Thank you for the call. Scott, Bill, John, Michael, stay with us. We'll be right back.